The State of Israel is required to bring about a significant change in the civilian reality in the Gaza Strip in the light of Hamas's crimes that led to the Iron Swords War. Therefore, it must decide on a political objective regarding the civilian population in Gaza, which should be pursued concurrently with the overthrow of the Hamas regime. The objective defined by the government requires intensive action to harness the United States and other countries to support this goal. Fundamental guidelines for each and every policy. Overthrow of Hamas rule, evacuation of the population outside the combat zone for the benefit of the citizens of the Gaza Strip. It is necessary to plan for and channel international aid to reach the area in accordance with the chosen policy. In every policy, it is necessary to carry out a deep process of implementing an ideological change, denazification. The selected policy will support the state's political goal regarding the future of the Gaza Strip and the final picture of the war. In this document, 3 possible options will be presented as a policy of the political echelon in Israel, regarding the future of the civilian population in the Gaza Strip. Each policy will be examined in light of the following characteristics. 1, operative, the ability to execute operationally. 2, legitimization, international, domestic, and legal, trying to make it look legitimate. And 3, the ability to carry out an ideological and conceptual change among the population in relation to Jews and Israel. The broad strategic implications. The 3 options under examination are thus. Option A, the population remaining in Gaza and the import of the Palestinian Authority rule. Option B, the population remaining in Gaza along with the emergence of a local Arab authority. Or option C, the entire population of Gaza is evacuated to the Sinai Peninsula. From an in-depth look at the options, the following insights can be derived. Option C is the option that will yield positive long-term strategic outcomes for Israel and is an executable option. It requires determination from the political echelon in the face of international pressure, with the emphasis on harnessing the support of the United States and additional pro-Israeli countries for the endeavors. Options A and B suffer from significant deficiencies, especially in terms of their strategic implications and lack of long-term feasibility. Neither of them will provide the necessary deterrent effect, will not allow for a mindset shift, and may lead within a few years to the same issues and threats that Israel has been dealing with from 2007 until today. Option A is the option with the most risks. The division between Palestinian population of Judea and Samaria, West Bank, and Gaza is one of the central obstacles preventing the establishment of a Palestinian state. Choosing this option entails an unprecedented victory for the Palestinian nationalist movement, a victory that will come at the cost of thousands of civilian lives and soldiers and does not guarantee security for Israel. These are their options. And they make sure to say option C is the preferred option. What is this I'm reading you? This is a leaked document. The Israeli Intelligence Ministry's policy paper on Gaza's civilian population. It was leaked less than 48 hours ago. It was written October 13th, 2023. By the Intelligence Ministry, Policy Department, who, by the way, have not denied that it is legitimate. They have admitted it. This is an ABC News article an Israeli ministry in a concept paper proposes transferring Gaza's civilians to Egypt's Sinai. That is illegal. That is immoral. That is wiping Palestine off the map. The thing that they accused Palestine of wanting to do to Israel, this is exactly what they are proposing to do here. To remove all Palestinians from Gaza, ship them off to another country, to live in a tent city of 2 million fucking people as refugees, take their land forever, and never give it back. Primary to their plans here, the first and foremost, and the most important thing that you see over and over again is the overthrow of Hamas rule. Yes, they talk about possibility of bringing fucking the Palestinian Authority into fucking Gaza, and then the Palestinian Authority will sell out Gaza like the Palestinian Authority sold out the West Bank. And in come the settlers, and in come the settlements, and in come the Bantustans, and then you have an apartheid state in Gaza, like you have in the West Bank, and of course all the primary fucking property will be handed over to Israeli businesses for nothing, and banks for nothing, so they can develop what they want on that beachfront property, which is of course, resorts, casinos. They can turn it into a Las Vegas strip on the Mediterranean Sea and make shit tons of fucking money. And then of course, they can also go into and start mining that liquid natural gas field off the coast of fucking Gaza. They can just take all the fucking money and resources. And then use the near slaves, the Palestinians, to build it. That's an option. They know that's not a good option. That's not a viable option. Because first of all, the people of Gaza won't put up with Palestinian Authority rule. So, we're back to get rid of them all, send them all to fucking Sinai Peninsula. Which, by the way, won't be that far away, and they can bus cheap labor and near slave labor in from that fucking refugee camp where you have 2 million fucking people, mostly young people, working age people, healthy working age people. You can bring them in to work as fucking cheap labor and pay them nearly nothing. There's the plan. Tip of the hat to DC Dave's sent me an email. I don't even know if he watches my videos anymore, but DC Dave sent me a video, or sent me an email, a link. I'm on his list, I guess, to this article. This is the article he sent me the link to. It's from the RT. Israel compiled an ethnic cleansing plan for Gaza. There it is. It was first published. The document was first published here. And this is Sisha Mekamit's. I know I mispronounced that. I apologize, but this is Sisha Mekamit's fucking website. It is an Israeli website. I went to Google Translate and translated the whole thing into English. And I want to read a little bit of this for you, because this is fucking remarkable. Keeping in mind, I made this video twice already. It's actually recording this time, so I'm a little peeved. It's remarkable in that it was released by somebody inside his own apparatus, Benjamin Netanyahu's apparatus, and the Likud party's apparatus. The Likud party's all over this. And what's happened basically is, I think there's, this morning I was talking about the fact that Bibi Netanyahu knows that the only way he survives and doesn't go to prison is if they continue this fucking war. because as a wartime prime minister, no one's going to get rid of him. And if this document, which it's being fucking implemented, point for point for point for point, if he's able to flush all Palestinians out of Gaza and then steal that fucking land for glorious, covetous Israel, then maybe, just maybe, he will be regarded as the greatest fucking leader in Israel's history. And they will look past the fact that it was his fucking failure, and the failure under his watch, that the IDF attacked successfully military posts and police posts on October the 7th. And they'll forget that he sold out every Israeli and all of their personal health information to Pfizer, so Pfizer could use them as lab rats, give them the jabs, and then they would be able to look in real time as people had adverse reactions to the fucking jabs. He did that. He sold out his own people to a business so they could jab these untested fucking mRNA gene therapies into their arms. And then they could watch and see what happened. And they could learn from it. He gave his own people up for that. Maybe he thinks they'll look past that. Maybe he thinks they'll look past the fact that he tried to change the legal structure and do away with democracy and checks and balances in Israel so that they could do whatever they wanted to. And then, of course, there'd be no veto from the Supreme Court in Israel. And, of course, he thinks maybe in the end they'll look past all those fucking crimes he's been accused of and indicted of, and he's standing trial for, that's on hold while he's prime minister. He thinks maybe all of this will just go away if he kills enough fucking Palestinian children and steals enough Palestinian land to appease Israelis and Likud. So, it is my impression that Likud has him over a barrel. The ultra right wing says, you're going to go all in. You're going to do all of this. Otherwise, we're going to pull our fucking support. And if you don't do this, you're going to be fucking, there's going to be a vote of no confidence. You're going to be out and you're going to be immediately held for trial. You're going to be arrested. You're going to be held for trial because you're a flight risk, obviously. And you'll go to prison for the crimes that you're already been accused of and indicted on. So I don't even know that fucking Bibi Netanyahu is in charge anymore. The ultra rabid fucking Likudniks are, because they got Bibi over a barrel. He's fucked. The plan of this is not going to work. There is absolutely nothing. Now that this fucking thing has been leaked, there is absolutely nothing that's going to prevent a major uproar from the countries across the world, from nations across the world. And the United States is not going to be able to stand in this way. They're not going to be able to say, yeah, it's okay to just wipe out all the fucking Palestinians and steal the land. That's cool. Go right ahead. Because that helps fucking Bibi Netanyahu and the fucking Likudniks. They're not going to be able to do it. That's why part of that fucking paper, that document, and I'll post the links to all this down below. Part of it was, it's very, very important that we keep the United States on board with us, because even if other countries aren't, they're not going to buck the United States. I don't even know if the far right fucking Likudniks in Washington are going to be able to stand with this. This is outrageous. Even Dick Cheney and fucking George W. Bush couldn't come out and say, we're stealing the fucking oil. That's it. We're stealing the fucking oil. They couldn't do that. And still in 2004, my father, who never voted Democrat in his entire fucking life for president, did not vote for the Republican. He didn't vote for Obama, but he did not vote for or Kerry, whoever the fuck it was, he did not vote for the Democrat, but he didn't vote for George W. Bush. Even still, people were that sick. That's why they had to steal that election. But aside from that, this is not going to fly. This is not going to fly. Coming right out and saying we're stealing the goddamn land is not going to fly, which is why somebody fucking released it. Somebody from within his fucking apparatus released it, which says a lot about the support he has inside his own cabinet. He might be gone. He might be gone before this thing wraps up, before they have to stop the conflict in Gaza. I'm sorry. Let me read a little bit of this for you. The complete document of the Ministry of Intelligence occupation of Gaza and total transfer of its residents. A document on behalf of the Ministry of Intelligence, the full content of which is published here for the first time, recommends the forced transfer of a population, which is a war crime, to the Gaza Strip, of the Gaza Strip to Sinai permanently, and calls on the international community to harness the move. The document also suggests promoting a dedicated campaign for the residents of Gaza that will motivate them to agree to the plan. An official document of the Ministry of Intelligence recommends that the security system carry out a full transfer of all residents of the Gaza Strip to North Sinai as the preferred option among three alternatives. I read them for you. It offers regarding the future of the Palestinians in the Strip at the end of the war. The existence of the document does not necessarily indicate that its recommendations are being considered by the security system, despite its name, even though if you read it, you will see that is exactly, it is being carried out exactly, it's being implemented, the war is being implemented exactly as it's being laid out here. Exactly as it's been laid out here in this. Meaning the first step is to tell people you got to leave North Gaza and move south. The second step is to bomb the shit out of North Gaza. The third step is to start a ground incursion in the northern part of Gaza. The fourth step is to start going through all the bunker systems and clearing them out. What have we seen in the last 24 hours? Them talking about going through the bunker systems and clearing them out. They are implementing this plan to a T. Despite its name, the Ministry of Intelligence is not responsible for any intelligence body, but independently prepares studies and policy papers which are being implemented, which are distributed for perusal by the government and security bodies, but are not binding on them. The annual budget for the office is about NIS $25 million, and its influence is considered relatively small, except for the fact that they are implementing this plan. The document recommends that Israel act to evacuate Gazan population to Sinai during the war, to establish tent cities and new cities in northern Sinai, which will accommodate the deported population, and then to create a sterile zone of several kilometers inside Egypt and will not allow the population to return to activity or residence near the Israeli border. At the same time, countries in the world, primarily the United States, must be harnessed to implement the move. The 10-page document is dated October 13th and features the logo of the Ministry of Intelligence headed by Minister Gamliel of the Likud party. An official at the Ministry of Intelligence confirmed to Local Talk, which is what this is, that this is an authentic document which was distributed to the security system on behalf of the ministry's policy division and was not supposed to reach the media. The document unequivocally and explicitly recommends carrying out a transfer of civilians from Gaza as a desired outcome of the war. That is criminal. This week, its existence was reported in the Calculist, and it is published here in full. The transfer plan is divided into several phases. In the first phase, the population of Gaza must be vacated to the south while the Air Force strikes, will focus on the northern part of the Strip, and in the second phase, the ground entry into Gaza will begin, which will lead to the occupation of the entire Strip from north to south and the cleansing of the underground bunkers from Hamas fighters, as I just described to you. Here is the original document on Scribed. It is in Hebrew. This is the English version, also on Scribed. At the same time as the Gaza Strip is occupied, the citizens of Gaza will move to Egyptian territory, leave the Strip, and will not be allowed to return to it permanently. It is important to leave the traffic lanes toward the south usable to allow the evacuation of the civilian population towards Rafah, the document states. According to an official at the Ministry of Intelligence, the ministry's personnel stand behind these recommendations. The source emphasized, and of course, the ministry is run by Likudniks. They're all Likudniks. They're all rabid Nazi fucking Israelis. The source emphasized that the ministry studies are not based on military intelligence and only used as a basis for discussion in the government. However, they just showed you up here with this that they are all being implemented in sequence. In the document, it is proposed to promote a dedicated campaign for citizens in Gaza that will, quote, motivate them to agree to the plan. Listen to this. This is fucking sick. And make them give up their lands. Quote, the messages should revolve around the loss of the land, that is to make it clear that there is no longer any hope of returning to the territories that Israel will occupy in the near future, whether this is true or not. The image should be, quote, Allah made sure you lost the land because of the leadership of Hamas. There's no choice but to move to another place with the help of your Muslim brothers. End quote, the document reads. How mentally ill is that? Because of your left-leaning government that refused to suck up to the IDF and the Likudniks, you now lose your land. That, boys and girls, is the definition of collective punishment. That is an admission. So many fucking war crimes in one fucking document. I will post links to all of this down below. Thank you, DC Dave. I don't know if you're still watching my videos or not, but if you are, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. This is what we knew was happening. But this is their plan laid out for you. In case you thought this is ever about protecting the people of Israel, then obviously it's not. This is about stealing land and finally wiping Palestine off the fucking face of the earth. With no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the goal of Zionism. It's always been the goal of Zionism since the Balfour Agreement. This fucker, Bibi Netanyahu, is probably bent over a barrel by the Likudniks, by the far, far fucking right, crazy Likudniks, who say, listen, if you don't go all out into this and do all of this and finally get rid of fucking Palestine, we're going to pull our support from you. They're going to have a fucking vote of no confidence, and then you're just going to be a guy. And because you're a guy who's got a lot of money you've been stealing over the years, they know you're a flight risk, they're going to come arrest you and try you and put you in prison. So the far-right zealots, the Nazi fucking Likudniks, the full-on Zionists, are telling Bibi Netanyahu, you're going to fill this plan out. Because these are the ones who, this is who runs the Ministry of Intelligence. The Likud party runs the Ministry of Intelligence, and the craziest of the crazy run the Likud party. And they're telling him, we better take it all. You're going to take it all. you're going to end with nothing. And that's what I was talking about this morning. And now we have the craziest of the crazies and their plan to commit multiple fucking war crimes and crimes against humanity. And so far, it's being implemented. Hopefully with the leak of this document, and that now that this document's come to life, hopefully, even the fucking crazy Likudniks and the far right of the far right in Congress will have to step back and say, okay, this is a little bit too much. You know, even fucking Dick Cheney didn't come out and tell people after they lied and lied and lied and lied about why to go to fucking Iraq. And even Dick Cheney had the fucking, didn't have the chutzpah, so to speak, to come out and say, fuck it, we want the goddamn oil. We want to control the goddamn oil. We want to control the world island. We want to control the world, and that's how we start. He didn't do that. That's what this does. Now let's see people stand behind. Now let's see how many people stand with Israel. Now that they know they're just trying to wipe Palestinians off the fucking map.